Georgy Konstantinovich Zhukov, December 1, 1896, June 18, 1974, was a Soviet military commander, Nazi Germany, earning him the title of Marshal of the Soviet Union and a revered place in military history. Below is a detailed overview of his life, career, and key contributions. Based on historical records and analysis, Georgy Konstantinovich Zhukov was born on December 1, 1896, in Strelkovka, a small village in Kaluga Governorate, Russia, about 80 miles southwest of Moscow. His parents, Konstantin and Astinia Zhukov, were peasants who lived in poverty, typical of rural Russia under Tsarist rule. His father was a cobbler, and his mother worked as a laborer, occasionally taking on heavy tasks like hauling goods to supplement the family's income. Zhukov grew up in a modest log cabin, experiencing the hardships of peasant life, including hunger and limited opportunities. He received a basic education at a local church school, completing 3 years of primary education, where he showed a knack for learning despite the family's financial struggles. At age 12, in 1908, Zhukov was sent to Moscow to work as an apprentice for a year, under his uncle's supervision, while he continued self-education in his spare time, reading voraciously to compensate for his limited schooling. In 1915, during World War I. Zhukov was conscripted into the Imperial Russian Army at age 19. He served in the cavalry, training as a dragoon in the 10th Novgorod Dragoon Regiment. His bravery in combat earned him the Cross of St. George twice, a prestigious award for valor, and he rose to the rank of non-commissioned officer. Wounded in action and hospitalized. He was still recovering when the Russian Revolution of 1917 erupted. During the Russian Civil War, Education Georgy Zhukov's formal education was limited due to his impoverished peasant background. Born in Strelkovka, Russia, in 1896, he attended a local church school for 3 years, where he learned basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. He was a diligent student, but financial hardship forced him to leave school around age 10. In 1908, at age 12, Zhukov moved to Moscow to work, ending his formal schooling. However, he was determined to educate himself, reading extensively in his spare time, particularly on history and military topics. This self-education continued throughout his early life and laid the groundwork for his later strategic acumen. During his military career, particularly in the 1920s, Zhukov attended the Frunze Military Academy, where he studied advanced military strategy and tactics. Excelling in the emerging field of mechanized warfare, early work in 1908, Zhukov was sent to Moscow to work as an apprentice furrier under his uncle's supervision. The fur trade was demanding, with long hours in harsh conditions, but Zhukov adapted quickly, developing a strong work ethic and discipline. He lived in cramped quarters with other apprentices, balancing work with his self-directed studies. By his mid-teens, he had become skilled in the trade, but his ambitions extended beyond manual labor. In 1915, at age 19, Zhukov was conscripted into the Imperial Russian Army during World War I, marking the end of his civilian work. Assigned to the cavalry, he trained as a dragoon and saw combat, earning the Cross of St. George twice for bravery. Instilled resilience and leadership qualities that shaped his rise. In the Red Army, Georgy Zhukov's early military career began during World War I and continued through the Russian Civil War, laying the foundation for his rise as a prominent Soviet commander. Below is a concise overview of this period. World War I, 1915 to 1917, at age 19. Zhukov was conscripted into the Imperial Russian Army in 1915, assigned to the 10th Novgorod Dragoon Regiment. He trained as a cavalryman and saw combat on the Eastern Front. His bravery earned him the Cross of St. George twice, a prestigious Tsarist decoration for valor. He rose to non-commissioned officer before being wounded in 1916, while recovering. The 1917 Russian Revolution unfolded, dissolving the Imperial Army and setting the stage for his next chapter. Russian Civil War, 1918 to 1921. Zhukov joined the Red Army in 1918, aligning with the Bolsheviks. He served in the cavalry, leveraging his prior experience. By 1919, he joined the Communist Party, solidifying his loyalty to the Soviet cause. Zhukov commanded a cavalry squadron, demonstrating skill in mobile warfare. His leadership during skirmishes, particularly in Ukraine and southern Russia, earned him recognition and the Order of the Red Banner in 1922 for suppressing anti-Bolshevik uprisings. INTERWAR, period 1920 to 1930, after the Civil War. Zhukov pursued formal military education at the Frunze Military Academy, where he studied strategy, tactics, and the emerging Soviet doctrine of mechanized warfare. He commanded cavalry units and later transitioned to tank formations, advocating for combined arms tactics. By the mid-1930s, he was a rising officer. Surviving Stalin's purges that decimated the Red Army's leadership, his career gained prominence in 1938 when he was sent to Mongolia. Battle of Khalkhin-Gau, 1939, he orchestrated a decisive Soviet victory using innovative tactics like encirclement, massed artillery, and coordinated tank infantry assaults. His success humiliated the Japanese, secured the Soviet-Mongolian border, and earned him the title Hero of the Soviet Union. This victory elevated Zhukov to national prominence and showcased his strategic brilliance. Zhukov's early military career highlighted his adaptability, courage, and grasp of mobile warfare, skills honed in cavalry and mechanized units. These experiences prepared him for the massive challenges of World War II. Georgy Zhukov's role in World War II. 1941 to 1945, known in the Soviet Union as the Great Patriotic War, was pivotal to the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany. As one of the Red Army's most skilled commanders, he orchestrated major campaigns that turned the tide of the war. Below is a concise overview of his contributions during this period. Based on historical records, key campaigns and contributions, Defense of Leningrad, 1941. In September 1941, as Germany besieged Leningrad, Zhukov was sent to stabilize the collapsing front. Appointed commander of the Leningrad front, he enforced strict discipline, reorganized defenses, and coordinated counterattacks. His ruthless measures, including executing deserters, helped prevent the city's fall. Though the siege continued until 1944. Defense of Moscow, 1941, in October 1941. With German forces nearing Moscow during Operation Typhoon, Zhukov was recalled to lead the Western Front. He orchestrated a desperate defense, mobilizing reserves and fortifying positions. In December, he launched a counteroffensive, using fresh Siberian divisions to push back the Germans, marking their first major defeat. This victory saved the Soviet capital and earned Zhukov widespread acclaim. Battle of Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943, as Deputy Supreme Commander under Stalin. Zhukov played a central role in planning Operation Uranus, the counteroffensive at Stalingrad. From November 1942, he coordinated with General Vasilevsky to encircle the German Sixth Army, trapping over 250,000 troops. The Soviet victory in February 1943 was a turning point, shifting momentum to the Red Army. Zhukov's strategic oversight was critical to this success. Battle of Kursk, 1943, in July-August 1943. Zhukov helped plan the defense against Germany's Operation Citadel, a massive offensive at Kursk, anticipating the attack. He oversaw the construction of extensive fortifications and coordinated a counteroffensive after the Germans were exhausted. The victory at Kursk, the largest tank battle in history, crippled Germany's offensive capability on the Eastern Front. Operation Bagration, 1944, in June-August 1944. Zhukov led Operation Bagration, a massive offensive in Belarus. Commanding the First Belarusian Front, he executed a textbook deep operation, annihilating Germany's Army Group Center and liberating vast territories. This campaign showcased his mastery of large-scale coordinated assaults, advancing Soviet forces to Poland's borders. Vistula Offensive and Berlin, 1945. In January 1945, Zhukov commanded the First Belarusian Front in the Vistula Offensive, rapidly advancing from Poland to Germany. In April-May 1945, he led the final assault on Berlin, overcoming fierce resistance in the Battle of Silo Heights and capturing the city on May 2nd. Zhukov accepted Germany's surrender on May 8, 1945, effectively ending the war in Europe. Retirement 1957 to 1974. Zhukov lived in relative obscurity in Moscow, under political surveillance and barred from public roles. He devoted himself to writing his memoirs, reminiscences, and reflections. Published in 1969, which detailed his World War II campaigns, but were heavily censored by Soviet authorities. Despite his isolation, he remained a revered figure among military circles and the public. His health declined in the 1960s, exacerbated by a stroke in 1967 and the death of his second wife, Galina. In 1973, Zhukov died on June 18, 1974. At age 77, following another stroke, his ashes were interred in the Kremlin Wall necropolis, a rare honor reflecting his contributions despite his political fall. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more military and geopolitical updates.